Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelly and I am winding down a massive declutter of makeup. I've had a ginormous collection. I've been in the last 2 years, I've been in collecting mode because I thought I needed to buy all the things to bring you guys content. And what I've found is that I have stuff that there's no way I will ever use it all. I have cultivated now down a collection that I think is worthy of keeping. These are all the palettes, 2 big boxes in front of me of eyeshadow palettes that I'm saying goodbye to. Some of them are not horribly old. Some of them may have never been used or they were used one time. And I'm at that point where I've made some good decisions, I think. If I'm not likely to use them, if they don't suit my lifestyle, it is time to pass them on. So that's what I'm gonna do. Today's video is another second to the last declutter video, and really this is the last of the major declutter. I've probably had 10 of these. I don't even know. I think I've done 10 and then I still have one more trash to do. Then I need to take the trash out. I'm so excited. I have just been overwhelmed with products. I cleaned up some space back here. I didn't light the candle today, but I've got this new little table back behind me, kind of opened up space a little bit. I've got a candle back there. I have a plant back there. Not a real YouTuber yet, but I'm trying really hard to get things just a little less chaotic. Moving the shelf over here with the palettes on it, the library, is going to help me not feel so cluttered as well. That's the hope. This is what I'm getting rid of. If you guys like this kind of content, I hope you stick around through the end of it. I do have some giveaways that I'm finalizing. As I'm filming this, I'm finalizing it. I want to go through the palettes that I'm getting rid of. These are going to be speed reviews. I'm tired. Your girl has done nothing but these declutter videos for the last 2 days. And I am ready to be done with it. But I'm on the downhill stretch, so let's do this. Let's get rid of it. Let's clear the space. Let's clear the space, the environment. Let's get things a little bit more under control. So I'm just gonna go through, starting from the top and move my way down. This isn't even an eyeshadow palette. This is like a highlighter palette. This is the Huda Beauty 3D highlighter palette. I barely use anything. These are far too dark for me. And it came in like a Huda Beauty mystery box. I didn't choose this. It chose me. I didn't choose this life. Okay, here's one that I didn't mind, but I never use. This is the Beauty Bakery, I think. Cotton Candy Champagne. This is a blush palette. I don't think I ever used this. If I did, it was one time. Tasting to the Sweet Life. This had little cotton balls on the top of it. I don't know why it would do that. Why you needed like a 3D blush palette, but I'm gonna gift this to somebody else. Not gift it to you guys. I'm going to hopefully find another home for it. I've got some friends that can go through this stuff and figure out what they would want in their life. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make it available for other people. Okay, I've got several C Color Cosmetics palettes that I'm getting rid of. Here's one of them. This is the Glamour palette. This is different than Glamour Us. Glamour Us is a relatively new one. This is a glam palette. This looks to me like it was maybe a dupe for a ABH palette. I either filmed with it already or I never got the original and I just don't even need it. This one's whimsical. This is like a Norvina palette, I think. I'm not really sure. I filmed with it. I don't need it in my life anymore. Here's one that I don't think I ever filmed with. This is the Angel palette. I think this was like a Kat Von D dupe. It's never been used. The protective sleeve is still on it. I don't know if anybody wants that or not. Okay, what else do we have? Here's the Clay palette from C Color. I think this was supposed to be like a Tarte dupe. This is now old. It doesn't look like it's moldy or anything on it, but it's not one that I would maybe wish on anybody. It has very much neutral shade. I don't even know why I bothered trying to clean this up here. It has very neutral shades. Unless you are somebody who wants literally all matte, all brown, I feel like this is supposed to be like a Tarte dupe. I don't know. I never got the original one. Here's one that I actually really loved, enjoyed. I took this on a trip with me. This is around the world. This was a dupe for an Urban Decay palette. I didn't get the original Urban Decay palette, but I took this with me. I think this has been to Paris. It's been to England. I don't think I took this to Italy, but now it's old. It's more than 2 years old. Palettes only last for a short while, right you guys? Okay, Speaking of glamorous, I just mentioned this. This is the Glamorous palette. This is a beautiful palette. It's a dupe for, what did we say? The Natasha Denona Glam palette. I might just give this to my daughter since it is brand new. She likes those kind of colors, so we'll see if she wants that one. Here's one that's Neutral Instinct. I think I was just on a bender one day and I was like, why do I have so many brown eyeshadow palettes? I did use, it looks like I've swatched 2 of the colors, but it's barely been touched. I might give this to my daughter as well. She likes the browns. Heavenly Rose, this is one I did a video on. I think, I don't remember what this was a dupe for now off the top of my head, although it's recently a video. And I think that because I had the original, I decided I didn't need to keep the dupe. I'm trying not to do that. If I have something that I purchase for a dupe video, which I have a couple more. If I purchased them that I need to decide I'm actually going to keep it to be able to travel with. These long narrow ones are a little harder to travel with. So we're going to get rid of those ones. These ones, I've got all these C color in this particular section. This one is, this one was supposed to be a dupe for the Manny MUA. I did a dupe video on it and I actually have the original Manny MUA palette. We're not going to keep that one. Don't need it. This one's the Dope palette. That one was dope too, but this one's dope. This one, I feel like I've used this, but I still have the protective sleeve on it. So hold on, let me check. I've used a couple of the shades in here. I mean, it's okay, but it looks like another one. I'm going to gift this one to Mike as well. She likes the neutral palette, so, but I also don't want to give her old ones. So this one is the Soft Natural palette. This has barely been used. This I think was probably another Tarte dupe. Most of these I'm just going to let somebody else paw through. Violet Voss, this is the Essentials palette. This is actually not a bad palette. I kept another Violet Voss palette recently, the Olive You Forever, I think is what it's called. And I couldn't find the rest of them. I think they might be in here. I think I chose not to keep these ones. This is a pretty palette. It's actually cute. It's perfectly fine. It has light colors, it has dark colors, it has some color. It's not all neutral. She's calling this the Essentials Pro Series eyeshadow palette. It's fine. I just don't need it. I have other things that I enjoy more. Sea Color Sundown. This is another dupe for a Natasha Denona palette. I think this was maybe the Sunset palette. I think pretty sure I've already done a dupe video on that. I don't need to keep the dupe if I have the original. That's just not encouraging me to use the original and I've spent money on that. Metal Matte. So this is actually, I think, a dupe for a KVD, one of her first palettes that she came out with. This also happens to be, if not the first, one of the first 3 looks, 1 palette videos I ever did, which means this is now at least 2 years old. These ones are not old. This one is the Cabana palette. This is a dupe for ABH Riviera. I don't remember if I even kept that one. This is just a bright, colorful, it's pretty. It's just not colors that I wear. And again, I have the original, at least I think I still have the original, unless I put it in here because I just didn't think I'd use it. Here's one that I don't think I've ever even used and it's already falling apart. This is the Diamond palette. I want to think that this one, and they're all shimmers, this one I think was supposed to be a dupe for a Fenty palette. I didn't buy the original Fenty palette. I don't like all shimmer eyeshadow palettes. And if I can't get multiple looks from the same palette, I just don't really want to keep it. This one's called Jungle Fever. Again, they do these long skinny ones and I just don't care for it. This is a rainbow palette. I don't think I ever used this. It doesn't even look like it's been swatched. They're just colors that I don't think I need. I feel like I've got everything color-wise in other palettes that I enjoy more. Plus the other palettes I have give me transition shades, inner corner highlight. These are just, this is like a box of crayons. I don't need that. Okay, Revolution Shook. This is huge on the outside and little itty bitty tiny shades on the inside. I don't know why. You can barely get your brush in those shades. Some of them are already falling apart. You do have, you know, some transition shades that are bigger pans. It's a big palette. It's not in good condition and I don't know that I've ever even used it. Maybe. It doesn't even want to close all the way. Content. This is not one that I purchased necessarily. This actually came in a BoxyCharm box 2 years ago. It says Hello Charmers on it. Pretty palette. It was fine. I didn't mind some of the shades in it, but I don't stand BoxyCharm. I canceled it, so I don't. Plus it's old. Here's another Beauty Bakery one. This one's Breakfast in Bed. I did a video on this. I didn't love it. I thought I was gonna love it. Now it's kind of falling apart on that out. I thought, no, see, I just smeared eyeshadow on it. I thought these cool shades would really inspire me, and I thought I would really dig it. And unfortunately, it is, just seemed like it was patchy, if I recall. I actually had gotten a second one of these. I guess I forgot the first time. And I had a subscriber once that was kind of going through some changes, and I gifted it to her. I don't know if she ever used it or not. I don't think she had much makeup to begin with. Peachy from C Color Cosmetics. This is, I think, a Urban Decay dupe. I didn't like the original. I bought this thinking I would like it. I didn't like it at all. I did a video on that too because I think someone said, hey, I don't know how to use this, and I didn't either. This one is the Cherry. This is supposed to be a dupe for another Urban Decay palette, something along the same name, some sort of cherry. And it was fine. I just don't wear these shades very often, and I don't really care for this type of packaging. I don't care for the Urban Decay one either, so I don't know why I would want that one. Here's one I know I did a video on. This is Revolution. This is Makeup Revolution Pro London. Forever Flawless. This is the Decadent palette. This is beautiful. It's a beautiful, warm palette. The palette itself feels nice and heavy. I just have all these shades elsewhere. I don't need this. Some of these just feel like they're not the nicest. Okay, this one I actually had good results on this video. This is the Revolution Courage Wild Animal palette. I think this was one that when I first did the video on it, I was like, wow, I'm actually getting some traction on this. It's a nice heavy palette. It's a pretty palette. There's just too many shimmers for me. It's all shimmers. Are there any mattes? There's like 3 mattes, 4, 5. There's 5 mattes. I prefer a few shimmers and all mattes. This is mostly shimmers and no mattes. There's no room in my life for this one. I don't need this. BFF, Alondra, and Elsie. I did a video on this, I think in 2022 is when it went up. It's a pretty palette. I liked the looks that I got with it. It's actually pretty well curated. I didn't care for the pan size. It's a little small. This is still in really good condition. I think I might see if my stepdaughter would like this. This is actually really pretty. As I look at this, I'm going, I sure want to get rid of it. Maybe I need to keep this one. I've kept a number of BH palettes. I'm gonna put this one back here for me to think on. I can't keep it, right? Oh my gosh. This one is the Profusion Cosmetics Royals palette. It was pretty. It is a crumbly mess right now. I mean, I guess I could tap that. There's like 3 shades in here that are completely destroyed. I'm usually not someone who drops palettes, so I don't know what happened with that. Makeup Revolution Mermaids Forever. I don't know that I've ever used this. Let's double check. Let's see, shall we? Did I mention I had 2 boxes here? First of all, we have the little tiny bitty pans, which I don't love. Second of all, they're all cool tones, which is not bad. And thirdly, mostly shimmers. My stepdaughter is a performer. This might actually be a fun stage palette for her. I don't know. Some of these I can feel that somebody might get used for them. Other ones, maybe not so much. Okay, this is another Profusion Cosmetics. This is a Pro Pigment, 21 Pro Pigment shades and brush. I don't think I use this. I don't think I use this at all. It's a pretty palette. It has nice big pans. I don't particularly care for when Profusion does these clear plastic ones. I like that you can see. I don't think this one's fills a niche in my life right now. I think I need to get rid of this one. Here's another one. I didn't choose this one. This is Illuminati X Isabella Bedoya. I think I did a video with this because it came in a subscription box. It's largely pastels. I don't wear pastel eyeshadows. I literally don't need this in my collection. I have another couple like pastel eyeshadows that make a little bit more sense. Palettes. Natasha Denona, for instance. This one, not so much. Here's a MAC one. This is crazy to think that I have a practically brand new MAC palette that I'm just walking away from. It's pretty, cool toned, 3 mattes, and the rest are all shimmers. This doesn't have place in me in my collection right now. I look for palettes that have enough that I can get at least 3 different looks from one palette. That's not useful. Mean Girls. Is it Profusion? Storybook Cosmetics. I have a couple from Storybook Cosmetics in here. This burn book, it's fun that it looks like a book. Forever this was behind me on my shelf. People thought I had books back there. The color story, it's okay. It has a couple shades that I really like. I've barely, if I ever even use this, I just swatched like 2 shades to see what they were like. The rest of them look like they're completely unsullied. This is fun for maybe a collector. Mean Girls, I don't know. I think one of my son's girlfriends likes Mean Girls. Maybe I'll see if she wants it. This one, the Fairy Tale Cosmetics. This one says Little Briar Rose. This is the when I did an unboxing from, I think, Boxy. This is the one that I was holding when I had Zeus for my old intro, if you guys remember that. I've used this. It's now old. We've got through one box. Let me change my battery. I'll be right back. Hopefully I got you guys back in the same place. I probably should have brought like water in here or something. I'm getting tired of this. I'm so glad to be getting towards the end of it. Here's another C Color Cosmetics palette. This is Tropical. This is a dupe for one of the Natasha Denona Tropics palettes, I think. It's pretty. It's fine. I don't need the backup of it. I have the original. We're getting into the Morphe section. So my first large palette that I was super excited about was a Morphe palette. And I think it was maybe Fall into Frost or something like that. It's probably in here. It got to be like at least 3 years old. Some of these are very, very pretty. This is the 35V pretty palette. It is so messy and so dirty. This is Stunning Vibes. That's what that's called. Too old at this point. This one's 35F, so this must be the Fall into Frost palette. This was everything to me. I feel like now I've got ColourPop palettes that are like this. The problem with this is there's your row of mattes. The rest are all shimmers. And I don't need that many shimmers. First of all, it's old. Second of all, it doesn't really suit my aesthetic anymore. I don't wear all shimmers. I didn't then either, but for whatever reason, that's the way it did. Okay, so this one's 35O Supernatural Glow. I think this is one that I felt like I needed to get because everybody had it, and I don't think it's ever been used. It's still a ginormous palette. Who goes for these big, huge palettes? I might see if one of the daughters wants those. It was one of those that was like, oh, you have to have this. This is the iconic one. And then I found it, and then I was like, oh, why? It's like the dog chasing the car. What do you do when you catch the car? Okay, this one is 3502. This must have been the release of it. Does it say what it's called here? I can't read it. Almost the same color story. So this was the second version of it, I guess. I'm sure someone would enjoy this. One of my son's friends, perhaps. It doesn't have a place in my collection any longer. Okay, here's another one, 35T. This, I actually really liked this one when I got this. This is the like taupe palette, dope taupe or something like that. I like the cool colors. It does have a nice mix of mattes and shimmers. It's just now old. Don't need to keep all these big ginormous Morphe palettes that I'm never gonna use again. This one's 35H Hotspot, I think is what it's called. I think this is another one of the colorful ones, right? Oh yeah. This is like the Stunning Vibes palette, but even more so. There's red eyeshadow, blue eyeshadows, teal eyeshadows, a lot of different fun colors. Goodbye. Okay, I actually like this palette a lot. This is the Live with Love from Morphe 2 years ago. I think I did my video on it this last summer in 2022. It's a rainbow palette, but it's got a little bit of an edge. There's some really fun variations on it. It's not like a true Kelly green. Instead, you've got an olive green. You've got almost like a teal green. However, I've got some shades in here that are hard panned already. And I think it was because I tried really hard to use them and then I couldn't. And this is, well, it's a really lovely palette. This makes a great like summer vacation palette, like when you're going somewhere fun and warm and stuff. And I just don't need it anymore. I have other crazy colored palettes that I like better. Here's one. I don't even know I should talk about this one. This is the Morphe X Jeffree Star. I used it twice, maybe. I filmed with it. It has some pressed glitters, which I don't care for. My problem with this is this shade, and this shade all stained my lids, and which makes me not want to use this anymore. So they were probably like pressed pigments that were probably not intended to be used on your eyes. This one is another one. This is a Morphe 24A Artist Pass. I feel like I'm getting rid of mostly like Profusion C Color and Morphe. This is a beautiful, bright, really bright, like neon bright rainbow palette with a lot of pressed glitters in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pressed glitters, a couple shimmers. There's another shimmer down here, another shimmer down here. Really fun bright mattes. I just don't wear clown colors. I'm not one of the happy clown posse. Oh my gosh, Moonstone. This might be the largest palette that I own. I got suckered into the ads for this thing. I was like, oh, that's gorgeous. And it is. It's gorgeous. If you have one palette and all you wear is brown, okay. You know what I don't like about this? This entire row of pressed glitters. Why do you need all those pressed glitters? It ruined it for me. This could have been 2 smaller palettes would have had a lot more value. One that was the nudes, tans, browns, and one that was grays. It does have some nice bronzers. I guess they're bronzers. I don't know if they're bronzers or they're supposed to be like transition shades. This is too much. 24 shade palette. They don't really call it an eyeshadow palette. It's just, it's too big. It's far too big. I don't know who has counter space for that. We're getting through the big Morphe palettes. Here's another one. This is 35S, which is such a gem. I think I like this one. Yeah, I like this one. It's just huge. I did a video on this as well. It's just too big. Very, very shimmer heavy. Very much a purple palette. There's some neutrals. There's some pink. To me, it's a purple palette, and it's too big. It takes up like the entire table. You can't have an apartment in New York and have a palette this size. I mean, I don't have an apartment in New York. I'm in Washington State. 3503 Fierce by Nature, and I didn't care for this. I had a very, very hard time getting some of the colors to work for me. The greens, the oranges, the reds, I could not get them to perform. There's one pressed glitter in it. It's not horrible. Some of the shades are actually really pretty. When I look at this, I'm like, oh, I really wanted this to work for me. But if I used it a couple times and couldn't get it to perform, it's time to say goodbye. All right, here's a W7 Total Eclipse. This was a dupe for a Huda palette. Actually, I think I like the Huda palette. I like this one, actually. This one wasn't bad, but I like the Huda palette, I think, a little bit better. I think I kept it. The palette itself, I think this is when I actually got a little bit more respect for W7. I think this palette kind of sold me on them. But I have the original, so I don't need that. Too Faced. I have several of these little Too Faced palettes. I liked this one. This one was actually perfectly fine. I'm trying to see if it smells. Sometimes they have scents in their palettes. This was actually really cute. Maybe one of the girls will want this. It's nice, compact. It's certainly quite different than the big, ginormous Profusion one. Okay, I love Carity. I love Carity eyeshadows. I had to make some decisions on which Carity palettes I was. This one is just like a purple and green palette. I think it's like Sugar Plum Fairy or something like that. It came in this travel, it didn't come in the travel changer. You bought the travel changer and then you bought the 9-pack of eyeshadows. So I can't actually keep the travel changer or chamber. I don't know if I need these. I might pop these out and put them in a different, bigger Z palette and then use this for something a little bit more curated, because I don't ever wear purples and greens. No, I'm not keeping that in its current configuration. See, Color Cosmetics did dupes of a ton of Huda palettes, these little 9 pans. This is one of them. This is all shimmers. I've never used it. Not going to use it if I have it at this point. This one I was going to declutter last time. This is a Wet n Wild My Cherry Amour, and I was editing the video and I liked it so much I dug it back out of my declutter and I was going to compare it to another palette, and then I never did. And if I haven't yet, why do I still have it? Moving on. Here's one from Believe Beauty. Believe Beauty has great little eyeshadow product. I got a couple of these in here, I'm sure. Oh, here's the other one. I just don't need these little 6 pans. I have so many smaller eyeshadow palettes for traveling. They were great. If I were passing a Dollar General and I needed an eyeshadow palette, I would feel confident about getting one of those. I don't need it right now. Here's one that I didn't really care for at all. This is from You Can Be. This is the Magic Spell eyeshadow palette. You Can Be is another brand that does a lot of dupes. I don't know what this is supposed to be a dupe for. More shimmers than mattes, and they look hard pan to me, so we're moving that on. I don't think I cared for this at all. It's got to be old. Another You Can Be palette. Back to School. I don't recall what this was supposed to be a dupe for. This one, I don't think it's ever been used. It's brand new. It's an interesting color story. They've got a pressed glitter in there, some shimmers, some colorfuls, only a couple neutrals. The majority of this palette is very, very colorful. I don't. I'll let somebody else decide if they want to keep it. I really wanted to keep this, you guys. Here's the reason why I can't keep it. Do you see the shape of this palette? This is like this is the face. This is that, what do they call him? Guy Fawkes. The colors were pretty. It was very gold heavy. There was a lot of, I felt like there was a lot of gold colors in here. I liked the color story. I liked the looks that I got from this. This is a NYX palette. The NYX quality was fine. I can't store this. This looks ridiculous on my shelf with everything else being all, my OCD can't handle it. This is another one that I can't do the size of. This is Def Leppard. This is the Rock and Beauty palette. It was fun. I think I did this for date night. I got that my husband's band does Def Leppard. There's a shade that just fell out, this one right here. So I'm gonna try to hold this in and show you the palette. The palette actually was pretty colorful. I got a lot of really fun looks out of it. I didn't use it very much. the shape though. It ends up going on my shelf like underneath other things, and then I forget that I have it, and then what do I have it? So the triangle. I'm a purist when it comes to eyeshadow palettes. They should be the right shape. Rectangular, square, those are okay. Here's one from Prism Makeup. This is the Supreme Seductress. I can't remember what this was supposed to be a dupe for. By looking at it, I would say maybe Natasha Denona. They've broken it up into two sections. You have like your cool tone browns, and then you have your warmer kind of oranges and russet colors. This is actually very pretty. I think I maybe used it once. I wasn't so impressed with the Prism makeup quality, so I don't need to keep it. Real Her Dream So Big. Did I even use this? This came in a box subscription. I think I used it one time in an unboxing. It is a neutral palette. Do you know how many neutral palettes I have? Too many neutral palettes. All right, here's another, is this You Can Be? Hold on, let me look. Yeah, another You Can Be Living Coral. I think I did a video on this like 2 years ago. It's pastel with like a fun emerald or like olive green. There's a couple shades in here that are kind of pretty, but my usage of You Can Be, like I literally have not used a You Can Be palette in years. I think it's probably a dupe of something, certainly a budget brand. Moving on. It's not serving any purposes in my life. I'm going to speed through these C-color palettes because I think most of these are supposed to be Huda dupes. This one I've already lost. I've lost a teal right here. It's gonna make a big mess. The rest feel like clown colors going right in the trash. Here's warm brown palette. Here is another warm palette. Here is a cool tone palette. I feel like I have all of the originals of these that I want. Maybe even like some Natasha Denona versions. I think I mentioned earlier House Labs. I really wanted to love this palette. A Stupid Love. I liked this on it. I did a video on it. My husband bought me this. I was so excited to get this, and I never used it again. The mattes were patchy and chalky and dry. The shimmers didn't really perform very well for me. I think some people really liked it. I bought it because I like Lady Gaga, and there's no need to keep onto it just because I liked the person. Here's another brand that I just don't need to keep. This is so much a brand I don't need to keep. I did a video using the Private Society products, and I never even edited it and posted it. Here's one of them. This one is called Volume 1, Bad Betch. It's a cool tone palette. I never went back into it. The other one is Girl Boss. I think this is probably the one that I did the video on, and it's a warm palette. It feels like a dupe for something else. It feels like a dupe for like maybe Huda. I just don't. I don't need these. I'm not even sure that that Bad Bitch one has ever been used. Pure, this is the Festival Palette 2.0. It's pretty, it's colorful, it's bright. It doesn't need to be in my collection. Not saying I kept only neutrals, but if I kept some bright ones, why do I need more bright ones? This one, Self-Made. This is from AOA Studios, I think, or Vanity. Yeah, I think it's AOA or A2O or something like that. This basically, it's from the Shot Miss A. It's bright, it's colorful, it's bold. Are you noticing a theme? I'm getting rid of the ones that I feel like I already have or that I just don't need in my collection. This is really pretty. I've never used this. I just realized it's not even been swatched, but I think it's 2 years old. Goodbye palette. Okay, Profusion Cosmetics Frostbite. This is a 35 shade palette. It's big. She's cute. She has a lot of, you know, there's some grungy greens in here. There's some burgundies. This, especially this section of the palette, is stuff that I would absolutely wear. The first 3 rows are neutral. The first 2 rows are neutral. The middle rows more orange and yellow. The bottom 2 rows are the actual ones that I would like. I don't think I've ever used that. Did I ever do a video on this, you guys? Frostbite? I don't know. It looks brand new. It looks like it hasn't been touched. I think I mentioned earlier that I have somebody who's like a kind of a budding makeup artist. I think she might like some of this stuff. I don't know. At least to play with it. Here's another Too Faced palette. This is the Tutti Frutti Razzle Dazzle Berry palette. It's cute. It smells like berries. I don't know that I ever did a video on it. So most of this stuff I kept because I was going to do a video. You guys, are you getting tired? Physicians Formula. This is like the Rosé All Day. Rosé All Play. I didn't care for the palettes, the pan sizes being so small. I didn't mind the palette, but I have other ones that are like it. Got one here from I Heart Revolution. This is I Heart Makeup Salted Caramel. It's pretty in the sense that it looks like it would be the perfect palette. I picked this up like at a TJ Maxx or a Berlin Place when I was traveling for work, and I used it a couple times at work, and I went, It's kind of junk, actually. I don't need this. Sorry, just not good quality. Profusion Cosmetics makes great quality eyeshadows. This is the Mirage palette. I'm pretty sure I did a video on this. And it looks like it's barely been touched. Some of the shades have been used. A number of pressed glitters in here. I'm making a conscious effort to not use pressed glitters, not use glitters in my eyeshadows at all. Are these more Profusion? Yeah. We've got Love Struck. We've got Starlit. We've got Rose Gold Look. Let me look at this one really fast here. Rose Gold Look is not too bad. It's got 2 highlighters and a powder. The shades actually seem fine. I just feel like this feels cheap. This does not feel like luxury quality makeup, and I feel like I'm more in that time of my life when I want nice things. You know, I don't have to have all the things, I just want nice things. Joa, I did a whole video on Joa products. This is the eyeshadow palette that I picked up when I got it, or at least one of them. The tape's still on it, so I don't even think it's been used. Okay, and as I said, the Starlit palette is probably my favorite of the Profusion because it has some gorgeous greens. It's got raspberries and plums and dark cool colors and some warm colors. It's a really pretty well done palette. Love Struck felt a little too blue and pink for me, which screamed 80s. Milani Pure Passion. It's a drugstore palette. I picked it up probably 11 years ago when I was traveling. Why is it still in my collection? That is old. We don't need that. There's probably another one in here too. Jacob and Eli Hidden Gems. This is one that was highly recommended on Amazon. I was looking for like Amazon highly reviewed or something like that, and this came up. I'm guessing I did a video with it. I think that's where I got this. I don't know. It seems fine. I don't need to collect everything. It didn't wow me enough that I needed to keep it on here. You guys, I have so many palettes that I'm getting rid of. This is gonna feel great. This is gonna feel great to not have these staring at me all the time. I don't know how to bother with it. Here's another one from Private Society. This one's the Smoke Show. Pretty. It's a pretty palette. I don't think I've used it. I don't see any marks on here. So I bought 3 of these palettes. I literally used one of them in a video that I never even edited. That's how much of a lack of impression that they made on. This one actually, as I look at it, it's actually very well curated. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shimmers. One looks more like a satin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matte. Nice combination of, you know, like a vanilla matte and a sparkly matte or sparkly like champagne color. Some grays, black, warm colors. It's actually very lovely. If I've had it for how long? 1.5 years, 2 years, and I've never once used it. Why is it still living rent-free in my house? It's another one from C Color Cosmetics. This is the New York Around the City. I think I bought all of these at this time that were like the around the wherever. There was like San Francisco and I don't remember where else. This is perfectly fine. It's a brown palette with one purple. I don't need that. All of the stuff. Clearly I don't need. Ulta Beauty. I got a bunch of like gift with purchase type Ulta Beauty products all came together, and this palette was perfectly fine. I almost kept it for maybe like a work or a car or whatever, and then I realized, why am I keeping stuff just because I might use it at some point? I have other stuff that I actually enjoy using, that I reach for because I enjoy it using. This is the one that I got from Primark. This is PS Rule Breaker eyeshadow palette. One of the first videos I ever did was on this palette, probably a 3 Looks 1 palette. It's mostly pastels. I bought a bunch of makeup at Primark in like 2018 maybe. So does that make it 4 years old? Maybe 2019. I don't know. A long time. This one I didn't care for this at all. This is one of those Morphe 2 stacks. I did a video with all stacks. I think there was one shade in here that's actually a pressed glitter that I would never use, which makes me not want to reach for this at all. The lip gloss was fine. The blush was fine. The eyeshadow was fine. They didn't go. They didn't match. The blush was pink. The eyeshadow was gold. The lip gloss was brown. It wasn't cohesive at all. It was weird. This one's a little bit of a sore spot for me. This is the Rare Beauty palette. This is the first one she came out with. And I liked the shades. I liked the quality. I used it a couple times. This big pressed glitter right in the middle kills it for me. The other, like these little crescent shapes, they're hard to get a brush into. You have to use small brushes to begin with, and I sometimes don't. I sometimes use bigger brushes. I liked the color story. I thought it was pretty. The packaging was nice. It doesn't look like anything else I have. It feels comfortable in the hand, but it doesn't look like anything else I have. That glitter in the middle is completely turned me off. It is a crumbly mess, and now because I've touched it, I'm gonna literally have glitter everywhere. That's bad. Bad news bears. Okay, this is one I don't think I used either. This is the Eloise, the Queen Queen Lies and All of Us. I think this is a beauty brand with from people of color, and I think they design their palettes. It's like Juvia's Place, right? They want highly pigmented palettes to show up on deeper skin tones. I don't. I have a light, medium, neutral skin tone. This was fine, but it's so much like all the other palettes I have. I don't even know that I used it. I don't know that I used it. I feel like there's one shade that looks swatched. It's hard to even tell. Maybe two. I don't know. It's a pretty clean palette. If I did use it, I was very gentle with it. It doesn't serve me any good here. Obviously, none of these do. Here's one, a little bite size from e.l.f. that's already broken. I'm gonna just throw that right in the trash. Milani Gilded Terra. This is actually not that old. For Drugstore, it was fine. I did a video on this. I enjoyed it, but do I need to keep a bunch of Drugstore eyeshadows when I have similar higher end stuff that I really want to actually use because I've invested in it? That's kind of my reasoning to get rid of that one. It's another C color. This is another dupe one. This one's Twilight. I think this was supposed to be Layla, maybe. I did a video on it. I haven't touched it. I have the original. Don't need that one. Here's another Milani. This one's Bold Obsessions. This again might be coming close to 10 years old. Beautiful palette. I had it in some of my work travel stuff. Barely used it. This I think is a blush and highlighter duo. This so probably doesn't need to be in here. I used it when I did that Def Leppard video, and I think I used it, that's the only time I used it. I don't care for it. This actually was super pretty. This is the Palm Springs Dreams. I want to think this came in, it's Too Faced. They sent their stuff, right, so I smell it. I think this came in maybe a FabFitFun a couple years ago. I liked the palette. I did multiple looks with it. It was cute at the time. I haven't used it since. Sad, isn't it? Another Makeup Revolution. This one is the Precious Stone Emerald. Pretty palette. I swatched a couple of the shades. Maybe I did a video with it. I don't know. I don't really care for the little tiny pans. I have to be more cognizant of how big those pan sizes are because that'll turn me off. That's like my #2 least favorite pan size. The thin narrow ones, like the ones that Urban Decay does, that would be my #1 least favorite pan size. Here's another one from Revolution, Makeup Revolution. This one is the Forever Flawless Utopia. I did a video with this and I liked it. It was cool toned. It was purple and blue and it's bright. There's a theme here. The theme is repeat after me. I don't need this. This should have been a drinking game. We should have had this going on the whole time. Speaking of I don't need this, I Heart Revolution Tasty Latte. I think this is another one that I picked up when I was maybe traveling. Thought it would be a good idea. Used it a few times and I went, wow, this is really kind of junk. Some cute colors in here, but there are 8 mattes. The rest are all shimmers and it's a big palette. Yeah, there's 18 shades in here. Revolution. This is like the clown makeup. Have I even opened it? I haven't even opened. I should have given this to my son. He was a clown for Halloween. I don't know what to do with this. It's bold, bright colors. The case is a little ganky. I'm never gonna use it. I'm never gonna use this one either. I don't wear all blue eyeshadows, and this is mostly blue with a couple greens. I did a video on it. This is the Reloaded Deep Dive. I don't know what this is supposed to be a dupe of or inspired by. Sometimes Make Revolution does that. I feel like this was, but I just don't wear all blue eyeshadows. Like, I think I used it when I did my Seahawks game day video. I have a random eyeshadow primer in here. This one is from ColourPop. It's party proof. This was junk. This was horrible, horrible, horrible eye primer. I don't know why somebody would want that. Don't buy that one. At least my tube was bad. Laura Geller, this is probably a brand new palette. Let me look. Let me look. We're getting close, you guys. We're down to the end of it. Laura Geller, Casual Corner. It's a cool tone. It's a pretty palette. It's never been used. My problem is that I think they're all too light for me. I have one dark shade in here that I can use. And if it was a much bigger, like this one right here, this is actually a shimmer. If this matte was the size of one of these rows, I might consider actually keeping it. It's too light. It's too light for me. If I can't get multiple looks in the same palette, I don't have enough energy or time to grab a bunch of different palettes and play with them all. I want everything to be in one palette. That makes me happy. Okay, Item Beauty. This is a relatively recent purchase of mine. I didn't care for this. I got a look I could leave the house in, but then I felt like that was the only look. And you've got like an orange row and a cool tone brown row. Kind of, sort of. You really have 6 shades. I have 6 shades in here that I can use. The other ones are shimmers. They're okay. I mean, I ended up getting a color that I could leave, or an eyeshadow look that I could leave the house, but I didn't love this. Item Beauty failed me there. Okay, here's another one that I had wanted forever. It was a little bit more expensive for e.l.f. That's their Velvet Touch eyeshadow palette. It's 6 shades of kind of like a putty, not like Super Shock, but definitely like a putty eyeshadow, like not really cream. I don't know, it was weird. I thought I would love this. I ended up liking like one of the shades. Not enough reason to keep. Dose of Colors Hidden Treasures. I did 1 month in 2022 where I did nothing but Dose of Colors eyeshadows, and this one did not make the cut. This one immediately went on the chopping block. Why? Because of the narrow rectangular eyeshadow palettes, and because they're scattered all over it. The color story was fine, performance was fine. I just don't care for the delivery of the message. Here's another Prism Makeup, Supreme Chaos. I think I got this because Rhonda over at Hot Mess Mama got it, and I thought, oh, that'll be fun to use. This is ridiculous. This is a rainbow palette with more than half shimmers. And I don't even really care for the Prism Makeup quality. I did a video on it though. Feel free to go back and check the archive. It had to have been close to 2 years ago. Here's one that I meant to declutter before. It worked its way back in because the reviews on it were so great, and it is now finally going to find a new home. This is the Lamora Nudes Matte Eyeshadow Palette. All mattes, love that. Narrow pans. I just don't care for them. If you're gonna be picky about something, at least be consistent, right? Here's another C Color Cosmetics Obsession palettes. This one looks a little more berry toned than it does on the cover, so I think it throws me off. This is the Obsession 3 from C Color, and it is very similar to a lot of the Huda palettes. I think that's what these are kind of dupes for. Another Pure Cosmetics. I actually like this palette. This is the Midnight Masquerade palette. Did a video on it. Enjoyed it, and I bought a dupe of it to give to somebody, and then never went back and used it again. And it's looking a little worse for the wear. I'm guessing it's some sort of fungus. That's because this shade right here is speckled with white. This is so gross. That's one dead giveaway for when you know something is way expired. This is actually very pretty. This is the Alter Ego Luster palette. I just purchased another couple Alter Ego palettes to do dupe videos of. This is very pretty. Cool toned, well curated. I don't know if this was, I can't remember if this is supposed to be a Pat McGrath dupe or a Natasha dupe, but I'm not keeping it. If I have the original, I'm trying not to keep the dupe. I've got several e.l.f. palettes here. Earth and Ocean. This was a repeat buy. I bought one and I lost a shade. And Opposites Attract, the New Classes, and whatever this is. I don't even know what this one was. Some other no-named e.l.f. palette. I think I did videos on a couple of these. I don't think I did it on all of them. New Classics was probably my favorite. I think I got the most use out of this one. I just don't know that I need to keep e.l.f. eyeshadows when I have a collection of really gorgeous higher end eyeshadow palettes. I think that they're fine. I think if you're starting a collection, it's great. I think if you have an advanced collection or a rather thorough, complete collection, maybe you don't need the e.l.f. This one was another one that I think everybody really liked. This is the Blushing Nudes Maybelline New York Drugstore version, Drugstore variety. They had several. I had like the 24 karat, but this is just too pastel and pale for me. There's 2 shades in here that I think I actually like, but there's a vast majority of them oh, you guys. I did get rid of it. This is that ABH Riviera palette. Remember I have the dupe of it that I mentioned earlier? This is the original of it. I decided I disliked this so much I'm getting rid of the original too. I think I got this for like $24 at TJ Maxx. It wasn't free, but once I filmed the video and I was looking at what actually suits me, what am I likely to wear? This is not one that I'm gonna wear in all honesty. All right. Here's another Alter Ego. This one's Temptress. I think I threw away another one that's like this too, that looks just like it. I feel like we've seen this color story. There's like a kind of blushy coral color, and the rest are cool tone nudes. This is old too. It feels good to get rid of some of the old stuff, you guys. I know I'm sounding a little hoarse because I've been talking for these videos for 2 days now. Lime Crime, I'm getting rid of both of these. They just did not perform for me, and I don't really care for the Lime Crime brand. This one's Prelude, never even used it. Still has the protective sleeve on it. Never been swatched. It's not for me. The brand's not for me. Let's try the other one. This one, another one that also says Prelude on it. So one of them is Prelude Exposed, and the other one's Prelude Chroma. I think I really wanted to like these. I was like, oh, Lime Crime, yeah. Yeah, this one hasn't been used either. I bought both of these however long ago and never used them. This one is a little less usable for me. It has 2 dark colors that are very unusual. Genesis is really like almost like an ocean blue, and then Cypress is a dark purple. I'm not If I haven't used them before, I'm certainly not going to now. Okay, and then I did do a month of Carity, sort of shop my stash. I decided I'm only keeping a couple Carity products, neither a couple Carity eyeshadow palettes. These are not any of them. I'm getting rid of Frost, which I don't think I ever used. I believe this one is all shimmers. Another big rainbow palette. I don't need rainbow palettes. Yeah, they're mostly, it says Frost, they're mostly shimmers. In fact, they all are. Every single one of these is a shimmer metallic of some kind. I can't get an entire look at a one palette. I think I'd use this, or I tried to use this in my Shop My Stash month when I did Carity, because I thought, oh, well, I can use this for date night. And I thought I would pair it with the matte palette, which is, as you can guess, 21 Pressed Pigment Matte Shadows, and it's a rainbow palette. And I've never used this. Not one single time did this get used. Thought I would use it with the Frost one. I like Carity eyeshadows, but I'm trying to be more specific. I'm trying to curate the collection down into the ones I would actually use. This one I loved. This is the Picanti palette. This was my first introduction to Carity. I think it came in a subscription box. I love the palette. Beautiful sunset palette. Do you know how many sunset palettes I have right now? Even ones by that name from major brands. Again, I like Carity products. I'm not saying I don't like it. I think I might even, I used to have a code with them. If you want to buy Carity products, let me know. I think I've got a code. It might save you some money. I just don't use this. I have other sunset palettes to use. And then this is the last Carity palette I have. This one is the Smoke 24 highly pigmented shimmer and matte eyeshadows. I think this is another rainbow palette. Oh, yep, big surprise. Another rainbow palette. Don't think I ever even used this. So this sat on my vanity for probably 2 months with my Shop My Stash, and I never once used it. That means that it's to go. Time to say goodbye. I have one more palette here, and I don't know what to do about this. This is the ColourPop at Forest Site palette, done with Raw Beauty Christie. I had it on my vanity. I'm trying to think if I used it. I think I used it a couple times. Here's the reason why I'm torn on this. Christy lives in Western Washington, and which is like 3 hours from where I live, where she lives. And she did this beautiful palette with colors, shades from things that she could look out her window and see. So it's very reminiscent of the Northwest, but it's also like a jewel toned rainbow palette. I just kind of cleaned up some of the fallout on it. And I liked it, but I don't love it. I'm half tempted to keep it. I can't say goodbye to this yet. We're keeping the Raw Beauty Christie ColourPop palette. We're keeping that one. I think I'm keeping the BFF one too. Let me look at this one more time. Maybe not. Maybe I don't need to keep the BFF one. Let me look. Nope, we're not keeping it. There's too many pastel blue shimmers. I'm not keeping it. All right, I need to count this up. I will put my total of all of the palettes that I've just decluttered. I will put it in my title so you guys can see what the ultimate count is. I feel like it's a lot. I feel like I'm drowning in palettes right now. I'm going to try to pull out a few that I think maybe the girls will like. The rest I'm going to open up to a, well, I've already pulled out the ones that I think are turnt, that are spoiled, that are too old. But I am going to try to see if my makeup artist friends might want to pick through these. If they don't want any of them, my son's girlfriends, my daughter's girlfriends, they might find use of these. I hope that some of the money I've invested in this goes to good use, because there's a lot of money I've invested in this, but I feel good about progress I've made. I wish you guys nothing but love and happiness. I hope you guys stick around. I'm one more video away from having my declutter done. And the last one is not even a true declutter. It's my normal regular trash video that I do every few months. Maybe 3 or 4 times a year I do a trash video. And these are the products that I've used up. I've panned, I've gotten all the way through them. So I'm gonna film that one, and that'll be the last of my stuff that I just need to move out of my life. I hope you guys are doing really well. I hope you guys can understand. And until my next video, bye for now.